What's up, guys? All right, so I'm Chandler here. We're about to be going over a deal where we bought this house for $13,500 and sold it for $70,000. Obviously, we didn't make that exact spread on the back end because we had some fees and stuff, and a little bit of holding time. However, we made pretty close to that. So I believe Gino's already made a video on exactly going through, the financial side of the deal, the acquisition, all that kind of stuff. But what we're going to do is basically I'm going to break it down from a marketing standpoint and kind of like give you a little bit of a background of how we found the deal and also how I evaluate each deal we do close or do get under contract that we have for our own tracking purposes. So the first thing is we actually got this from a text lead, which Launch Control. Launch Control is a great texting platform. It has all the this is great. It's one of the best ones we can find around from our experience. It's awesome. But anyways, let's take you through the conversation. I mean, pretty simple. I mean, we reached out to her one time, and then we do a follow-up round, which is roughly probably, obviously 12. So September 12th to October 18th. It's about a month and a week. So about 5 weeks or so, give or take, between our follow-up rounds. And it took us 2 tries to get a hold of her. Obviously, she was pretty hot right off the bat. She was interested. There's no real need. I mean, she just gave us the qualification that we needed. We moved her on to our leads manager. She might have even gotten pushed straight to our acquisitions manager. But what we can do is to go take a look and see exactly what was going on. And just to give you an idea, when we text, our goal is just to basically try to get that phone appointment. So we're trying to get as much information from these people as we can and really find out if they're motivated or if they just want to sell because we've reached out to them. And another thing that I'll do right here is I always have this deal tracker that I try to fill out. So, let's go ahead and before we got to fill out a couple things before we get going. So the first thing we're going to do is we already got a lead source SMS, our list name. So to find the list name, it's pretty simple. It's down here. So we have our import file. So this was the initial list, but obviously the campaign that we had, we got the lead from is a follow-up campaign. So I'm just going to copy that and bring it over. But it's Clayton County, single family, local owner. So I'll go over exactly what that means in just a second. So let's paste that in there. So, okay, so this is from Clayton. That's the area. That's the county in Georgia. We're in Atlanta, in the Atlanta market. And our contact type, this is a follow-up. So basically that means, is it new? Is it a follow-up? Is it a drip? Like, how did that come? And for us, I can track that through a couple ways. Through if it's a follow-up, like I said, this list name is follow-up. If it's new, it's not going to have follow-up in it. And if it's a drip, then our response that we get them with, that we respond with, will say, I know what they say. So I know if it's a drip or not. And a drip is just like a drip follow-up. So it automatically follows up with them in 90 days if you don't know. All right. So the next thing, before we get to how many times we reach out to this person, from a lead management perspective and like in our actual sales and follow-up funnel, and let's go into Propstream and really see what this list where we got this lead from. So I'm going to go ahead and just take down the name of, let me copy that down while this logs in. Let me log in. Let me go over here, get this written down. So I got our name, we're loading. I'm going to sign whoever's out, sign them out. And all right, so all I'm going to do is go to my properties. Just going to search, boom. All right, and then we're going to view our list filter. So basically, here's our list. It's obviously Clayton County. I typically pull our list through counties, and if it's not like a hot county where we know buyers are buying all over, we'll use the Maxwell buyers list hack to find where our buyers are actually buying. So it's basically you're just finding where the cash purchases are located and what zip codes and the certain areas. So maybe it'll be like 5 or 4 for some counties, and you can just kind of play with it and see how it works for you. But basically, this is you can read, but it is not an owner occupied. Obviously, if you read the text messages, it was a vacant property. The property actually had some water damage, and there's a hair on there. Some water damage and fire damage. Apparently, the water damage was fixed. However, there was can't remember the exact process of what problems were all going on. But anyways, basically, Is year built, was 2005 or earlier. Is it on the market? Nope. 5 years or more of ownership. This is simply right here, individual corporate, so we can save money on skip tracing because we can't skip trace trust or other stuff through, most skip tracers. And any, we can't do it through any for my knowledge. So we're not doing direct mail, so whatever. So then the last sale price is 500,000. Basically, this is just so we don't get those multi-million-dollar homes. And if the list is massive, we don't need to pull all those people. And 60% more of equity, and that's pretty much it. And then, oh yeah, so the list name had local in it. So I'll also do the absentee owner, and I'll break them down. Like if it's a big list, sometimes I'll break it down. If I'm like testing a new area or a new list, I'll break it down into local, in-state, or out-of-state. That way we don't spend too much money on our skip tracing if we actually end up getting like a duplicate list where we don't want to skip trace 6,000 people and then upload it to our texting and then only text 500 people. So I kind of do a test with a smaller number so we don't waste so much money. And then the other thing that goes on is the absentee owner location, obviously, that I talked about is local. I think that's everything there pretty much. That is the list that we use. So, write that down if you want to use it, whatever. I mean, it's pretty standard absentee owner list. And let's now what we need to do is we need to figure out, how many times did it actually take us to reach her? And this is a text messages thing, which I should have already taken down. However, I just forgot. But the initial outreach attempts, we did only take 2 tries to get her. We got a hold of her after not the first one, but the second one. So it was just our first follow-up, but it was our second outreach attempt. So now we have lead manager call attempts. And the way I do this is I come over here and we have what's called a call log. And right here, it's communication log. So it's pretty short, actually. Normally, it's a little longer than this for most leads. This one was pretty hot, as you saw. If you read the text messages, she was pretty motivated to get rid of it. So the big thing is, let me make sure. All right. Big thing is over here that you're tracking how many times your lead manager is touching your leads. Because if you're not closing any deal, if you have a lead manager to an acquisition manager's process like we do, if your lead managers aren't touching any leads and the only ones you're closing are going straight to your acquisitions manager, you might have a lead manager problem where you're losing leads in that they're calling them and they're not actually getting that motivation. So you might have a leads manager problem. Or you might just not have good data for them to call and you just get lucky every once in a while. But that's something that I've had to think about and we've had to think about for our business. So again, let's get into our communication log. So right here, it tells you, hey, we got it under contract on the 21st. The first time we reached out was the 18th, or this is when it got put in Podio, excuse me. So I think I have a first contact date right here, which I need to fill in. So our first contact date was September 12th. So one day after 9/11, so 9/12/20. So let's fill that out real fast. I'm jumping all over the place, my bad. 12/20. I got a weird keyboard, so it's kind of hard to type these in. And then our push to CRM date, I remember that was 10, and I believe it was 18/20. I'm very certain. And then we did not get an optional marketing contract on this, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the dates. I already had the purchase and sale date, so that's already there. Close date, I'll just leave that blank for right now. But what we need to do is we have to fill in our lead manager attempts, conversations, and all of that kind of stuff. So this is pretty basic to do with our communications log. It tells us if we made a connection or if it was a busy no answer. So if it was a busy no answer, obviously we had no conversation. If there says connection made, well, then there's a connection made. So as you see here, we can click on it. We have our outbound call by Jared, our acquisitions manager, busy, no answer, no connection. So that's how I get it. So he called her 2 times to get one conversation. So that's pretty easy. And also you can look, there was only Jared talked to him. So our lead managers had zero to do. They pushed them straight to our acquisitions manager, which is perfect. On a lead like this, they should have. And acquisitions managers, so we had 1, 2, 3. So we had 3 outbound calls. 3 outbound calls, and it took 2 conversations. And the way I see that right here is we had one connection made here, which was a conversation. It's got to be. And then don't worry about that. That's property leads doing some random stuff. That's just the Podio. It's our app, actually, property leads. And then our inbound answered right here. It was answered by Jared, obviously. And then she called us in basically right after we missed her call, or she missed our call. So we had 2 conversations. And then boom, all it took was 3 conversations to contract. So, I mean, if I was doing this math wise, I would do this plus this, but I'm just going to write 3 here. So 3 conversations to contract. That's pretty dang good. And then let's run through the rest of the contract. So basically, once we got her under contract on the 21st, we moved her to close deal on the 20th. So of November. So we closed the deal on the 20th. So wherever that is, 20. So that was just recently, 8 days ago. And the contract length is a little bit different because we double closed on this. So technically we bought it on like the 9th, I think. Yeah, we bought it on the 9th. So let's do some math here. Hurt our heads. So 18 to the 9th. So we got 9. I got to do this math on my head. So I did the math. We got 21 days before we closed, before we took down title on the double close. Again, double close, if you don't know, we buy the property and then we turn around and sell it right again to the buyer, the end buyer. The reason why this close date's the 20th and not the 9th, like the same day, they didn't close this morning and then sell it again in the afternoon, is because there was some stuff that had to happen. Just some little stuff with a mortgage, or I don't really know those all. Gino handles most of that. Or actually John Paul handles most of that. So I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was doing other stuff. However, that's pretty much all the contract goes. So right here, I've gotten some of this information from Propstream about the house and about the property. So that way you kind of know, what kind of houses should you be marketing to? What are your hotter list? Well, for one, you see a tired landlord is basically someone over 15 years of ownership in my mind. And then the house is vacant, or isn't there an absentee owner and the house has been owned for 15 years or more. Propstream actually has a tired landlord filter now, but if you're ever looking for just like a more of a hot list, then that's where you'd want to go. I will say that if you only target tired landlords, you're going to be missing out on a lot of deals because, tired landlords do account for probably like 50% of our deals, roughly. This is a rough estimate of just like the last recent time. Roughly 50-60% of our deals. However, if we only get those 50%, that's like we're at half capacity. So it's still good to contact those people who are, 2 to 5 years plus ownership. So if you don't do that, then you could, if you have the budget to target those people who are maybe 2+ years of ownership, or maybe 5+ years of ownership who are absentee owners, then I would do so, because you're going to be missing out on opportunities if not. As far as, this deal, this is pretty much the analysis that I'll do. And basically, as we go through our deals and we have more and more and more down, then I'll just kind of, at the end of like maybe every quarter, I'll kind of run through and be like, maybe even a monthly. I look at it more often than that whenever we get contracts. But whenever I add to it, I kind of always take a look and see, okay, what kind of properties are we really getting? And, what is the situation on it? So for me, I always kind of take a look at the years built, the ownership, and I mean, that's really about it on the property for marketing. You don't really need to know anything else. And also like if they have any like bad situations. So how many pain points does this person have? Take note of what pain points each house has, because you might just get it from a high equity absentee list. But to further niche down and get some of those niche data lists from the counties or whatever, maybe think about, okay, so she did have fire damage. So, how can you find that? Or how can you find water damage that's been repaired? Is there any way to find it? I mean, obviously I don't think there is, but if you can think about it like that and reverse engineer these houses that are coming to you that you're closing on, and then you can put more of those leads in your pipeline, then you're going to be able to have more closable deals, I guess you could say. Can't really think of the verbiage on what you would say there, but you understand what I'm trying to say. So always take a look at what your deal is and then reverse engineer how you can find more just like it. And if you do that, you should have success.